Hi guys, it's Kevin. So, it's been a while since I've done a movie review, so I thought I'd get back on track, and what other movie to do this than the highly anticipated Justice League movie. Now, before I get into my actual review, I have a bit of a rant to go on. Shut up about Rotten Tomatoes. And what I mean by that is shut up about them being unfair or biased or whatever. Just because you like a movie that has a low score, you know what? That doesn't mean that there's like some big conspiracy or whatever. Picture this. People can have different opinions than your own. Now, full disclosure, I have not seen the Rotten Tomato review score for this movie. I have no idea what it is. As I am recording this, I've still not seen it. I did not see any kind of reviews or any kind of official reviews or anything. The only kind of official review or score or anything that I have seen regarding this movie before filming this is an article about Henry Cavill's mustache, which I'll get to in a minute. But first, just stop thinking that every single time a movie you like has a low review score, that means it's some kind of goddamn conspiracy. Because it's not. You know, this never used to be a problem. Whenever there was a bad movie, like a movie that generally had a low score or, you know, was poorly received by critics, the general public was like, huh, okay, I guess I won't see that. They weren't like, oh, they're biased, this is ruining this movie. Which, first of all, okay, first of all, these movies do incredibly well. They make a lot of money. So if the critics are trying to keep them from making money, well, clearly they're not doing a good job at doing that. But anyway, so just let people, you know, what it means when a movie has a low review score on an aggregated review site such as Rotten Tomatoes, that just means that majority of critics didn't like it. That's what it means. And people rely on critics because they always ask me, before they see a movie, people ask me all the time, like, they ask me, did you see this, did you like this movie? Did you think it was good? And a critic's job is literally to answer that question. Because people want a general idea of whether or not a movie is good or not before they pay money to go see it. Because nobody wants to spend over $10 to see a movie that they don't like. Nobody wants to do that. So they get a general idea of whether or not they would like it before they spend the money to go see it. Do you understand? So when most critics don't like a movie, generally people will say, okay, well, maybe I shouldn't see that. And if you want to see it anyway, that's fine. You can do that. You are entitled to that. Because frankly, as long as a movie has more than a 0% on Rotten Tomatoes or whatever, that means that there's at least one person that liked it. There's at least one critic who liked it. And even then, on Rotten Tomatoes, there's an audience review score too. If you don't like trust critics' opinions, there's an audience review score too. So, I don't... Look, just... Not everything is a goddamn conspiracy. It's okay to have an unpopular... Listen, I'm not saying that you're a bad person if, you know, if you like a movie that most people don't. Or you hate a movie that most people like. I'm not saying that you're a bad person. But stop thinking that it's a goddamn conspiracy, because it's not. It's okay to have unpopular opinions. I have them. Everyone has them. Everyone has unpopular opinions. It's okay. Now that that's out of the way, let me talk about what I actually thought about this movie. And again, I haven't seen any reviews or scores or anything before I saw this movie. I tried to avoid, like, social media of people talking about it. I tried to just avoid that like the plague. So I didn't really know what to expect because, let me just give you a full disclosure. I loved Wonder Woman. I loved Wonder Woman. I hated Batman v Superman. And, okay, well, hate's a strong word. Okay, I didn't hate Batman v Superman, but I was very disappointed with that. And Suicide Squad was also not so great. And Man of Steel was... Well, initially, when I first saw it, I thought, okay, that was kind of cool. But then the more I thought about it, the more I was like, oh, yeah, there's actually a lot of problems with this movie. So, you know, I don't know what I was to expect with Justice League, and especially considering all the stuff that happened behind the scenes and stuff. Oh, yeah, that's another thing that, like, a lot of DC fanboys are complaining about. They think that, like, Joss Whedon ruined Zack Snyder's vision. Like, buddy, wait until the director's cut comes out or whatever, like, before you know, decide about that. Like, just shut up about that. Just shut up. Just talk about the movie as it is, because this is what the movie is, okay? Don't talk about what the movie could have been. You know, we could save that for later. We could save that for a later conversation. Just shut up. So I didn't know what to expect. So, you know, my overall opinion of this movie is that it is... Well, first, you know what? Why don't I, before I tell you what I thought about it, why don't I go into the plot? So I'll give you a basic summary, because this is one of the things that I liked about this movie more than Batman vs. Superman. Okay, see, let me get into the story of it. So a bunch of aliens are invading Earth, and Batman assembles a team to stop them. You see how simple that was? That was such a simple story. So let me ask you this. If this movie could have such a simple story, why couldn't Batman be Superman? Why did that have to be such a convoluted mess? So let me tell you my opinion. You want to know my opinion? You want to know what I thought about this movie? Do you want to know what I thought? I thought it was okay. Yeah, I just thought it was, like, okay. I mean, it was enjoyable. It was fun, but it was also kind of weak. You know, I feel like I've seen this before. You know, I've seen a bunch of superhero team-up movies, and really it didn't really add much that other ones haven't. It's just... it's okay. Not great. Not awful. But okay. But let me get into more detail. Okay, so one thing that I want to talk about is the characters. Okay, for the most part, yeah, okay, I kind of like the characters. They were okay, I guess. The one that stood out, you know, probably to no one's surprise, is The Flash. You know, Ezra Miller as Barry Allen, aka The Flash. You know, because he's kind of quirky and fun. And also, okay, I have something to ask about this. Is this version of Barry Allen supposed to be on the spectrum? I mean, I'm serious. I'm not trying to make a joke here. I'm serious because, like, he mentions that, like, he doesn't understand people and he doesn't, like, understand social situations. Like, I'm not just saying that because he's awkward. I'm just saying that because, like, he straight up says that he, like, doesn't understand social interactions. And, you know, he also has kind of a unique way of thinking. And I don't know. And we've already had an autistic superhero this year with the Blue Ranger in the Power Rangers movie. So, you know, it's not that far-fetched, but unlike that movie where they straight up say in the movie that he's autistic, in this movie, it's just kind of implied. And, you know, I kind of wish that DC would just either, you know, confirm or deny that. I kind of wish they would. But, you know, either way, I think that some people are going to, like, have their headcanons and think that he is. Which, you know, that's fine. That's good for them. That's, you know, that's good. That's a good thing. I think that's good. But, yeah, he was the most interesting character in the movie. He was the breakout character, but, unfortunately, that's not really saying much in, like, the grand scheme of things. Because even though most of them were just okay... Well, okay, so, like, Ben Affleck as Batman, he was... Well, he was definitely more laid back than he was in Batman vs. Superman. Maybe a little bit too much, because I think he's kind of, he's not really trying very hard to do the whole secret identity thing. He's not really trying very hard at that. Like, he has a conversation with Aquaman, and Aquaman just straight up, like, as Bruce Wayne, he has a conversation with Aquaman in front of other people, as they're walking in front of other people, straight up referring to him as Batman. Like, and Wayne doesn't seem to care. He doesn't care about that. He doesn't, like, make any... He doesn't try to be like, shh, shut up, don't... You can't call me Batman in front of other people. Like, he doesn't do it. He just doesn't care. He's just, like... They're just, like, carrying on their conversation. And Aquaman, I mean, I kind of appreciate where they're going with this, but I don't know. I just don't feel like they're, like, fully realizing it yet. I just don't feel like he's a fully realized character yet, because I think that what they're trying to go for here, I think they're trying to go for, like, an Aquaman that's like a professional wrestler. Because he, like, you know, he like, flips his hair, he goes, like, yeah, and, like, you know, he's all bro, and, like, you know, my man! He's, like, the tough guy of the team. And then you have Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman. She was fine, you know, like she was in the other movies. And then there was Ray Fisher Cyborg. Ooh, okay, actually, this one I kind of have a problem with. I kind of have a problem with Ray Fisher Cyborg. Because the Cyborg, I grew up with the Teen Titans animated series. Okay, full disclosure, I grew up with that. So the Cyborg that I knew was this larger-than-life, you know, fun-loving, you know, gregarious, like, you know, guy who, you know, he was like the life of the party. Like, you know, that's why his catchphrase is "Booyah!" And he does technically say that in the movie. Kind of minor spoiler alert, Cyborg does say "Booyah" at one point, but it's like, it's kind of a little, he's basically nothing like that. And, you know, it's and I'm not saying you can't make a character a different version, but I don't know, it's just, he was just so dull and lifeless in the movie. Like, he's such a downer, which is understandable. I mean, this is a version of Cyborg that just became this, you know, inhuman, half-robot abomination who has to be locked up in his dad's apartment, faking his own death. So, yeah, it's a little understandable that, you know, he's a little down. But, you know, even in the Teen Titans show, like, when they were doing the origin story episode, like, he was also, like, pretty upset about his condition. But, you know, he was still passionate, though. Like, he was still so passionate about it, and, you know, and he cared. Like, you could tell that he cared. In this version, all he really does is be like, oh, I can do this, I can do that. It's not easy for me. Oh, yeah, I wasn't talking about me. Leave this to me. I can take it from here, Alfred. Like, that's what... Oh, by the way, that line in the trailer, where Alfred's like, do I know you? That's in the movie, which is one of the things that I was actually surprised made the cut, because, they actually interact beforehand, so Alfred does know him, so it's kind of a little weird why he would say that. Like, it makes sense in the trailer, because as far as we know then, you know, Alfred has no idea who Cyborg is, but in the movie, he does know who Cyborg is well before that scene. So, yeah, that was just kind of weird. That, I feel like, was a line that could have been cut, or changed, or altered, or something. You know, maybe, okay, again, this is his origin. He did just become, you know, a cyborg, so maybe in future movies, you know, he'll be a little more like, you know, his fun self. You know, maybe. I don't know. Maybe he will be a little bit lighter-hearted. I mean, he does have character development in the movie. Like, he does sort of open up a bit more as the movie progresses. So, you know, maybe he will, like, maybe. I don't know. But as far as this movie was, I'm just kind of a little, like, disappointed. I kind of thought, you know, he'd be more like the Cyborg that I knew. But, you know, but, whatever. Oh, and then there's, obviously, Henry Cavill as Superman. Yeah, spoiler alert, he's in this movie. And, I think it's about time I had to address the elephant in the room. Something very controversial, and that would be Henry Cavill's mustache. Yep, I'm going back to that. I honestly didn't. Okay, I honestly didn't really notice it at first until like I remembered. Oh yeah, there was like talks about how he had to digitally remove his mustache because he was filming Mission Impossible 6 during the time, and the producers of that movie wouldn't let him shave his mustache during the reshoots of Justice League. So Warner Brothers had to digitally remove his mustache, but it looks really weird. And I didn't notice at first, but looking back, there were some scenes where his face just looked kind of off. So, yeah, that might be a little distracting for some people. I personally didn't really notice it, but then again, I saw it in 3D, and I was just, and it gets, the 3D glasses kind of like obscure your vision a little bit. But Henry Cavill, he was, again, alright. Like, yeah, I mean, yeah, that's pretty much Superman, I guess. So, for the most part, when I saw the trailers, I thought that the colors looked so ugly, and I thought, oh god, this is gonna be such a gross movie. And then, and then I realized, oh, okay, it's not so bad. It was just kind of during that one scene outside of the climax that looked kind of meh. Oh, speaking of the combat and the action, let's talk about the villain of the movie, Steppenwolf. Now, before I saw this movie, I was really not familiar with this character. I know who Darkseid is, and I know who the Parademons are, but I was not that familiar with Steppenwolf. So, I don't know, I just kind of thought it was an interesting choice that he would be the villain of the movie, as opposed to Darkseid, but I'm assuming that they're saving Darkseid for a later movie, I guess a future installment, because they're obviously trying to build him up a little bit. Not as much as they were trying to build up Steppenwolf in this movie that they were in Batman v Superman, which, by the way, that nightmare scene, it still doesn't make any sense. It still makes no sense. I'm sorry, this movie does not fix Batman v Superman. It doesn't. It does not fix Batman vs. Superman. It does not fix the flaws of that movie. It does not. No matter how good this movie is, it does not fix the flaws of that movie. I'm sorry, but it just doesn't. But anyway, Steppenwolf, though, was kind of a meh villain. Like, I don't know. It's like, we haven't really... I feel like especially considering I just saw a comic book movie that had, a much more interesting villain in Thor Ragnarok with Hela. So, to see a villain that's just so, generically evil, it's just kind of like, But I will say this, though, I do think the Parademons are cooler than the Chitauri, so, yeah, okay, that's one thing I'll give them. I like the Parademons more than the Chitauri, so... Yeah, their boss isn't so great, but I like them. They're kind of neat. Kind of neato bug people. Oh, yeah, and, there's this, they keep on, throughout the movie, they keep cutting to this Russian family who ends up having to be saved during the climax. But, like, I don't really understand why they had to keep cutting to them and why they were... I guess the Parademons were scouting out a location for Steppenwolf to do the doohickey, to use the MacGuffins for the power or whatever. So I'm going to enter spoiler territory for a bit here. So in the movie, Batman... So the reason that Superman comes back to life... Oh, yeah, big surprise. Superman comes back to life in this movie. Wow. No, I thought he was dead for good in the other one. But the reason that Superman comes back to life is that Batman decides to use one of the mother boxes, which, oh yeah, okay, let me backtrack for a bit. So the main lore of the movie, the backstory, is that Steppenwolf, this guy, he invaded Earth, like, thousands of years ago to try to use these, like, mother boxes, which are these, like, super ultimate power basically Infinity Stones, except there's only 3 of them. He tries to use these mother boxes to try to take over the Earth, but all of Earth's armies, which include humans, Atlanteans, Greek gods, and Amazons, and even a few Green Lanterns, ooh, cameo, they fight him. They fend him off and fight him. And here's the thing. They decide to hide the mother boxes all on Earth. The Amazons take one, the Atlanteans take one, and the humans decide to hide one. But here's the thing. If they had help from Green Lanterns, why didn't the Green Lanterns take them off planet? Like, wouldn't they be safer if they were hidden in, like, remote parts of, like, the galaxy or something? Like, why keep them all on Earth? Like, I feel like they'd be much less safe in that case. Like, I don't know, I just feel like that's kind of a bad idea to keep them all on one planet when I think that you could have hid them on multiple planets. But then again, you know what, that's kind of a nitpick, so whatever. But here's not a nitpick. So Batman decides to use the human-kept mother box, which is the only one that Steppenwolf didn't get his hands on at this point in the movie. Which, by the way, Cyborg apparently had hidden this whole time, but for some reason only now, only after rescuing his father and a bunch of other Star Labs employees from Steppenwolf who were interrogating them about them, only now decides to reveal he knows where it is and brings it to the team. Whatever. But Batman decides to use it to bring back Superman, and you know, Wonder Woman's like, I don't think that's such a good idea, Bruce. And he's like, if there's even a fraction of a chance that this will work, we should do it. And I have a contingency plan, too. And it's like, so let me get this straight. So in Batman v Superman, he wanted to kill Superman because he believed that there was even a 1% chance that he would be bad. And now in this movie, he wants to bring Superman back to life because there is even a 1% chance that it'll be good. Like, that it'll work and he'll save them. It's like, okay, that's not really character development. That's just flip-flopping. I feel like he's like the same character, it's just he has different, you know, ideas now. Like, it's... well, whatever. Oh, and also, it's kind of really funny that when they do bring Superman back to life, and he does end up kind of going a little crazy when he's brought back to life and decides to attack everyone. But here's the thing. While they're, you know, trying to control or fend off Superman, the mother box they use to bring him back to life is unguarded, and then he just takes it. Steppenwolf just comes in and just takes it when everyone else is distracted. It's like, wow, so if you guys never used that to try to bring back Superman, he wouldn't have even had it. Like, good job, guys. Good job. You basically just let him take the last of his, you know, last piece of his, like, doomsday device, or whatever the hell they do. I think they, like, reshape the Earth or something like that. I don't really know. It's like, there are a bunch of minor flaws that I feel like kind of hinder the movie a bit. Like, for example, Aquaman's backstory, I feel like it was so rushed. Like, he just has a conversation with Mira, which, okay, I know in the comics that they're married, but I had no idea at this point what their relationship was when they were first interacting. And I think now, like, they like just met or something? I don't know, something to do with, like, first of all, by the way, Amber Heard's Mira, for those of you wondering, she's only in the movie for, like, actually, no, her and, J.K. Simmons's, Commissioner Gordon, them in total have about a total of, like, 5 minutes worth of screen time in the movie. Yeah, in case you were expecting more out of them, I'm sorry. That's pretty much all there was of them, but whatever. I don't really have a problem with that. What I do have a problem with is the fact that they just, like, rushed through Aquaman's origin story. Like, I hardly even caught, like, all of what it was. Like, I think it had something to do with, like, the Queen of Atlantis. He's, like, the daughter of the Queen, and she's, like, a disciple of the Queen, I guess. And, like, he's the son of the Queen, and, like, she left him on some human's doorstep freaking when he was a baby, like Harry Potter style. I guess. So I think that's what happened. And he's like, well, screw her. She abandoned me. And she's like, no, she was protecting you. And I think that's what they were going for. But I couldn't really tell because it just happened so quickly. And also, for some reason, they had this conversation. When they had this conversation, Mira, like, used her water bending powers to, like, make, like, a big air bubble so that they could talk. But, like, wait a minute. They're Atlanteans. Shouldn't they be able to talk underwater anyway? Whatever. You know what? It's a lot of my problems with this movie could be just chummed up as just whatever. You know, whatever. I'll live with that. Yeah, that's like a lot of what my problems are with this movie. It's just like me brushing things off and going, ugh, you know what, whatever. Just let's move on. Oh yeah, and I almost forgot the Amazons. Yeah, they. What the freak are you guys doing here? Like, what were you doing with that wardrobe design? Like, what? Like, I mean, this is really jarring considering we just saw them in another movie earlier this year. We just saw all the Amazons in their full glory, like, you know, in, you know, all their, like, awesome armor and shit and, like, fighting styles and whatever, in, like, all their, like, combat gear and, like, their swords and horsebacks and all their awesomeness. And yet in here, they're just kind of, like, sexy female gladiators. Like, and also, I kind of noticed that, they're a bit less diverse than they were in Wonder Woman. I don't know. Is it just me? Is it just me? Like, am I the only one who thought that they were a little less diverse in this movie than they were in the other movie? And they were all pretty much just, like, reduced to just sexy, you know, gladiator, like, sexy Halloween gladiator costumes. Like, that's what it felt like to me. It felt like that they were just wearing sexy gladiator costumes. Like, there is no practical reason to having, like, an exposed stomach if you're, you know, a warrior of any kind. Like, that's just, like, that's literally your most vulnerable part. That's literally the most vulnerable part of your body, and you're just gonna leave that open for people to kill you at. Like, what the... Oh my god. But then again, Zack Snyder is no stranger to objectifying impractical Greek armor, you know. I'm just saying, he's no stranger to that, so I don't know what the decision behind that was, but they looked silly, because it's just, maybe if this movie came out like a few years after Wonder Woman, maybe, you know, there wouldn't be such a jarring comparison or such a juxtaposition, but there is, and whoo, boy howdy, it's yikes. But then again, Snyder's an equal opportunist, so, I mean, Aquaman's got a lot of shirtless scenes in the movie, so, and, he did direct 300, so, I mean, it's not like he's not an equal opportunist, so I guess fair is fair. Maybe. I don't know. Also, there were a lot of phallic symbols in Man of Steel, so there's that too. Oh, I liked Jeremy Irons' Alfred. He was pretty fun. He was like kind of like that sarcastic, just like, you know, guy in the chair. He was the guy in the chair, and he's just kind of like the sarcastic, like, I don't know what you'd call him, a, you know, advisor guy or something. I guess he is the guy in the chair. I guess that's what you'd call him. Oh, and then there's also Amy Adams as Lois Lane. She wasn't really in the movie that much, actually, now that I think about it. But she did play an important role. Also, surprisingly, just an FYI, this movie passes the Bechdel test. Yeah, she actually has a conversation with Martha Kent.
Why did you say that name?
About how she's sold her house. Like, how Martha sold her house. She has a conversation with her about that, and Martha tells her that she should be, like, chasing after better stories. Because I guess Lois kind of goes into a depression after, you know, Clark dies. Which, yeah, it's like, I like how they did that. That was kind of nice. How they kind of had a little bit more grounded, you know, realness to this kind of big superhero movie. That was a little nice touch, but I don't think it was enough to really overcompensate the flaws. I don't think it's enough to really make this, like, you know, stand out as like, oh wow, I've never seen this kind of movie before. Like, here's the thing about this movie. If it came out before the Avengers did, maybe I would like it a little more, and maybe it would be more well received, but similar to how the Lego Ninjago movie probably would have been more received if it came out before the Lego movie. You know, kind of like that. Because it's like, it doesn't really add much to it. It's not really doing much different that we haven't already seen in much better, you know, superhero team-up movies. You know, like the Avengers, or Guardians of the Galaxy, or... Okay, honestly, those are the only two I can think of right now. I mean... Hell, Power Rangers! Ghostbusters! I don't know. Ghostbusters. Those kind of superheroes? I don't know. I just feel like it didn't really, like, add much. And it's kind of sad, because, you know, I don't want this franchise to fail. Like, I want it to work. You know, I want to see these, I love these characters. I'd love to see them on the big screen in live action in, like, all their glory. I really do. But, you know, Warner Brothers, the company behind, they just need to step their game up like they did with Wonder Woman. Like, Wonder Woman was great. Wonder Woman was awesome. Like, I don't understand why they can't just let Patty Jenkins direct everything. Just let her direct all of your movies, okay? You guys will be fine then. You guys will be A-okay if you just let Patty Jenkins just take the wheel. So, that's my overall, you know, opinion about this movie. I've gone on for like, okay, yeah, I've gone on for like 30 minutes now. I think I should wrap it up. Out of a review system of bad, okay, good, and great, I gotta give Justice League an okay, because that's what it is. It's okay. It's an okay movie. I mean, frankly, if you want to go see it, you're gonna go see it regardless, but if you're on the fence about it, you know, I say go for it. You'll probably enjoy some of it. You'll probably think it's alright. Because I know people who love it, and I know people that hate it, and frankly, I'm just kind of like, it was alright. You know what, I do recommend seeing it just to, you know, see for yourself. You know, what do you think that the Justice League is? I mean, and frankly, because I could see your opinion, I could see a lot of people's opinions going either way. But personally, I thought that there was value to it, and I thought it was kind of fun. Just, you know, don't really expect too much of it. Just don't really expect, like, you know, something that is gonna blow you away. Like, you'll enjoy yourself, but don't, like, get your hopes up too much. And frankly, I don't think that this is gonna kill the DCEU. Like, that's pretty much what this movie is. It's good enough that it's not gonna kill, it's not good enough for me to say that it's like an awesome movie, but it's good enough to keep the DCEU and to keep my hopes up for the DCEU. Because you know what? They're working on it. They are working on it, and like, if I had to rank all the DCEU movies from best to worst, I would make it Wonder Woman, Justice League, Man of Steel, Suicide Squad, Batman v Superman. Yeah, I'm sorry. I really, really don't like Batman v Superman. I'm sorry, I gotta be honest. I really did not care for that movie. I think that's all I gotta say, and, you know, I better stop this before I freaking run out of battery on my camera, or run out of memory on my camera, so, alright. Well, that's my review, so, bye. See you guys, and, you know, unite your league, or whatever. I don't freaking know. My Justice League. I don't know, whatever. Bye.